Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're here today. In this presentation, we're going to explore a very important topic. The title is, If You Were My Daughter, There Is One Warning I Would Give You About Narcissistic Women. We'll discuss how to recognize these women, understand their behavior, and most importantly, how to protect yourself. So, let's get started and dive into this vital subject together. So, on this slide, I want to walk you through the 5 psychological shifts she experiences when she realizes she's pushed away a man who truly cared for her. These shifts are crucial because they reveal how her mindset and emotional state change during this realization. It's not just about losing someone, it's about how her perception of love and control transforms. And then, there's that moment when she finally understands she's lost someone who genuinely loved her. This moment hits her differently. It's not just sadness or regret. It's a crack inside her, a moment of internal breaking. But interestingly, it's not because she loved deeply. No, it's because she lost control. That feeling of losing control becomes the core of her pain. What's really important here is understanding how a narcissistic woman perceives love. She doesn't see the value of love when she has it in her hands. She only recognizes its worth once it's gone. That's a key point because it highlights how her view of love is tied to possession and power, not genuine connection. Connecting this to the overall theme, it's about understanding the destructive cycle of narcissistic behavior, how it distorts love, and how the real loss often comes from her inability to maintain control, not from the absence of love itself. And when she realizes you won't give her that validation anymore, she spirals. Narcissists don't mourn love in the traditional sense. What they mourn is the loss of someone who made them feel superior, desired, and needed. Deep down, she knows the truth. She took the relationship for granted because she believed you would always stay. When she finally sees that you were the one giving her loyalty, patience, and genuine love, she starts romanticizing the past. She rewrites the story in her mind, convincing herself that she always cared, that she was misunderstood, and that you should have tried harder. It's important to understand that narcissistic women rarely truly miss the person. What they miss is the admiration, the feeling of being special, the pedestal they were placed on. She becomes obsessed with the image of what was, holding onto that idealized version of the past, even if it's not entirely accurate. This is a critical part of understanding their behavior. It's less about missing the person and more about missing the admiration and validation they associate with that person. So what we see here is that she changes her image, but not her patterns. She might try to reinvent herself outwardly, but her core behaviors and thought processes often stay the same. Her main focus isn't really about growth or genuine self-improvement. It's about maintaining her reputation, which is a key point. Narcissists tend to feel more shame about appearing flawed than actually being flawed. You'll notice she starts posting inspirational quotes, maybe claiming she's healed or that she's leveling up or choosing herself. It's a way to project an image of self-improvement, even if it's not truly happening internally. Sometimes she might even blame you to make herself look better, saying you were the one who was emotionally unavailable, regardless of who was truly at fault. Instead of asking, "Why did I lose someone who loved me?" she's more likely to ask, "How do I make myself look less at fault?" That's because a narcissistic woman doesn't really self-reflect in a healthy way. She's focused on self-protection, on preserving her image, not on understanding herself better. So she tries to reconstruct her image, her persona, rather than working on herself genuinely. It's all about the surface, about how she's perceived, not about authentic growth or self-awareness. When you respond to her, she gets her reassurance, that little boost she needs to feel secure. But if you stay silent, she often becomes restless, sometimes even desperate to regain that sense of control. A narcissistic woman doesn't return because she's genuinely ready to love differently. She comes back to check if she still has power over you, to see if she can still manipulate your emotions. What she's doing isn't about reconciliation, it's about reconnaissance, testing the waters, seeing what she can still get away with. You might notice her sending stories designed to make you jealous, or leaving accidental likes on your posts. She might offer subtle compliments, send nostalgic messages, or check in with you in a friendly way, all tactics to keep you hooked. But when she feels her power slipping, she'll come back, not with apologies, but with a different approach. She begins testing you again, slowly, strategically, and without taking accountability. It's all part of her game, trying to regain control while disguising it as a gesture of reconciliation. She knows she lost something rare, something truly valuable. But underneath that armor she's built to protect herself, there's something she's unwilling to admit. Instead of facing the pain and the truth, she chooses the easier path: protect the ego, rewrite the narrative, minimize the loss. To genuinely heal, she would have to admit that she pushed away a man who genuinely loved her. And that kind of honesty would shatter the fragile identity she's spent years creating. Blame becomes her shield against accountability. She might say things like, "You gave up too easily," or "You misunderstood me," or even, "You changed," or "You abandoned me," or "You never appreciated me." When denial no longer works, narcissists often pivot to blaming others. They blame you not just to avoid responsibility, but to protect their fragile sense of self. It's a way to keep their ego intact, even if it means distorting the truth. A narcissist's internal world always becomes her external reality. Because, as Heraclitus once said, character is fate. So why does this matter? Well, she becomes the perfect partner only until you let her back in. Then the old patterns, those familiar, ingrained behaviors, return like muscle memory. Narcissists tend to upgrade their tactics, not their hearts. And here's the key point: this is all temporary. It's just a performance, a strategic move to regain what she's lost, not a true transformation of who she is inside. But here, where it gets really interesting. Once she sees that you've moved on, her confidence cracks. Suddenly, she becomes more attentive, more affectionate, even more feminine. She might offer the emotional presence she withheld for years. And that's crucial to understand. A narcissistic woman doesn't change for the better. She changes her strategies. Now, here's the brutal truth most men don't realize. She starts chasing what she once took for granted. Love cannot fix someone who refuses to face themselves. Sometimes, losing you is what finally pushes her to realize that. But, and this is important, that realization doesn't mean she'll suddenly be able to love you differently. The lesson here is simple but powerful. People often think change is about the other person, but it's really about themselves. And if we think about it, the music of relationships never really changes. Men and women are like guitars. One wrong note, like a mistake or a flaw, is forgivable. But when the wood itself is warped, meaning the core issues are deep-seated, no amount of tuning or fixing will create harmony. That's a crucial point to understand. Now, when a woman becomes nostalgic after the admiration is gone, it's often a sign she's more focused on repairing her image than addressing her behaviors. She might test you to see if she still has power over you, or blame you to protect her fragile ego. And sometimes, she only chases after you when she realizes she can no longer control the situation. A narcissistic woman, when faced with loss, doesn't truly grow. Instead, she adapts, finding new ways to maintain her sense of control and self-image. So, as we reflect on this, remember, the key takeaway is about understanding the nature of these dynamics, recognizing that true change comes from within, and that some wounds are beyond repair if the core isn't addressed. That's how we can better navigate these relationships and their complexities.